No,
So,
no.
no? What do you mean
Dom
no?
went yesterday.
All right,
It's
Andrew.
me.
I looked at the wrong date.
Okay.
Andrew Bow is today.
Yep.
You can
Um,
go again if you want. I didn't get to see it, so.
you shouldn't go because mine's gonna be long.
Well,
Just so you know.
take
uh,
it away.
cool.
The floor
Let
is
me go ahead
yours.
and share my screen. So let's do it. My presentation is on something called Smashbot, the AI that beats you at Melee. So, a quick introduction to this project. What is it? As the name implies, Smashbot is an AI designed to beat you at Super Smash Bros. Melee, and it's not encumbered by the same limitations that we flesh puppets are. It has frame perfect reactions and execution. It was originally created by a friend of mine named Dan Petro, who goes by Alt F4, who's a longtime computer scientist and currently works at a cybersecurity firm in Arizona called Bishop Fox. It was originally written in C++, but is now in Python. A somewhat common question about it. It does not utilize machine learning. It's all hard-coded right now. Currently runs in Dolphin Emulator, which emulates Wii and GameCube, and there's a link to the repo. So you might be wondering, why am I talking about this? For one, I've been playing this game competitively for about 14 years now, and I've been ranked top 100 in the world every year since they started a worldwide ranking in 2013. There is my most recent ranking card in 2019. It was on redbull.com. You can go to that URL to confirm. And I actually helped contribute to this project for about 6 months prior to starting Hack Reactor, for fun, when I was getting back into software engineering. So, before I talk about the program itself, I'm gonna do some quick background on the game, and I provided some GIF images to give you a visual. This game is very fast-paced. It's relevant to know that it runs at 60 frames per second, and it's also relevant to know that when you're playing this game, or honestly any non-turn-based game, you have to anticipate what the other person can do next, and you either have to move or do something to deal with it. It also means that if you throw out a bunch of moves for no reason, then you just leave yourself open for a counterattack, which Smashbot can definitely react to. So that being said, there are certainly some unique challenges trying to convert these human level concepts into lines of code, as you could imagine. For one, Smashbot does not perceive the game the same way that you and I do. It doesn't see the game in a visual sense, it just has access to a bunch of variables and values. And it also does not plan ahead into the future. It only thinks about what's happening on the current frame, and it only decides what to do on the current frame. So, another quick piece of background, how does this bot even interface with the game? So there is a separate but related repo also made by Dan called libmelee. It's an open API written in Python 3 for making your own AI. There are a few other AIs that use libmelee. I know nothing about them. And in general, what this is responsible for doing is it provides game state to Smashbot in a human readable form, as opposed to just being values in memory. It's responsible for providing preloaded game data to Smashbot, preloaded by CSV. And it's also responsible for simulating, button presses and controller inputs. So I guess now I'm going to get into a little bit of the logical structure of how it makes decisions. So the logic is broken down into 3 levels. 3s are nice. The highest level, there are strategies. In the middle, there are tactics. And at the bottom, there are chains. Those are pretty much just basic sequences of moves that you might do. And instead of trying to explain that, I'll just give you some basic examples of each one. So the most interesting strategy file is called bait.py. It is actually the only one that has anything meaningful in it. And in general, this is pretty much the logic it follows. It asks itself all of these questions in order and then chooses a tactic and then returns. I'm going to go into the repo and just show you a little bit what that looks like. So this step function is sort of where the decision making happens. And as you can see, it simply just has all of these if statements that asks, does it need this? Pick this tactic. Does it need this? Pick this tactic. All the way down. So without further ado, I guess I'm just going to talk about, oh crap, a tactic file. So in my opinion, the most interesting tactic file, or the one I'll talk about at least, is called punish.py. And the way that this one works, it has three main methods or functions. One called frames left, one called can punish, one called step. Frames left, it basically tells you how many frames the opponent is going to be stuck in their current animation for. So like if they're in the middle of an attack or in the middle of hit stun, then, it tells you how much time you have. Based on that information, it goes to can punish, which, uses that information amongst other things to return a Boolean about whether or not we can punish the opponent. And if that is true, then we go back into our step function, similar like we did with, with strategy. So I'm just going to go into that file, give you a quick rundown. Here's frames left, here's the punish class. So as you can see, it has a bunch of if blocks as well, and a lot of these return 1s and 0s. If they're an attack, it'll do other things. If they're in hit stun, it will return other things. Here's can punish. It checks a bunch of factors and will return true or false. And here's our step function, which actually chooses a chain based on all of the information that you gave to Smashbot. So like, for example, right here, it checks if frames needed is less than or equal to frames left. If so, it'll go into this block. And, for example, right here, depending on what's going on, it might choose chains.waveshine, smash attack, shuffle, or, other stuff. So, time to go on to the next one. So I just chose waveshine.py. Another quick piece of background. There's an advanced technique in this game called wave dashing, and there's an attack called shine. You can see Fox doing it here. What he's basically doing is shine, wave dash, shine, wave dash, shine, wave dash to combo Peach. And, we have a chain that helps our bot do this too. As you can imagine, this is actually really hard to do for a person. So let's go into the chain real quick. As you can see, it's similarly structured. It checks off a bunch of factors, chooses, what buttons or stick inputs you want to submit on this frame, and then returns. So that's basically what it does on every single frame of the game. And, in order to debug this and see what's even going on, we have to create debug logs that, give us sort of what's going on every single frame. And I don't want to talk a little too much about this because I'm actually going to show a demo video where my friend, who has a lot more expertise than me in software engineering, will say it with more authority.
About programming.
Can you hear the video?
If you're anything like me...
Okay. I hope you guys can relate to this flowchart.
About programming. If you're anything like me, programming looks a little bit like this, where you're more or less in a constant state of confusion, because if you understand the problem that you're trying to program, then you just solve it pretty quickly and move on to the next problem. And so to be a programmer is to be in a constant state of confusion, interrupted only shortly by tiny bursts of epiphany and coding things up. So if you were to walk up to me at any point while I'm programming Smashbot, usually it's Saturday morning eating some breakfast cereal and drinking some tea, and you say, "Hey Dan, how's it going?" I have no idea what the fuck's going on. Nothing's working, and I have no idea why.
He was actually presenting this at a hacker convention in Vegas back in 2016 called DEF CON.
For the longest time in Smashbot's history, up until maybe a couple months ago, there was just this nagging bug that I had no idea how it worked. It was the only logical explanation for it was that there was a gremlin inside of my computer pulling on wires. And so it looked something like this, where Smashbot would be totally cool, and then just derp right off the stage. And I'm like, what is going on here? There's no reason for it to do this. I couldn't pinpoint in code why this was happening, and it manifested itself in all kinds of ways that wasn't just derping off the stage. So I implemented this entire debugging mechanism where you give it a -- debug flag, and it will take the entire game state per frame and write it out to a big CSV file. lets you retroactively walk through what happened throughout the entire game and see like, oh yeah, like it pressed this button when I should have pressed this button or whatever, right? So I could see in here that sometimes, not all the time, just randomly seemingly, I would press a button and it just wouldn't happen for a frame late. That was the source of the bug. I finally figured, okay, so like there's, for some reason, it's pressing a button frame late. I don't know why. It was only ever 1 frame late and not all the time.
So something interesting about this, I just muted him temporarily. He actually discovered a bug that was in the game for 15 years that no one knew about until this time. So like,
this is a Smashbot. It's not just doing these blindly. It's actually
what it's doing right here requires it to press like jump and then down B on a perfect frame. So like, you know, it's working perfectly, and then suddenly it just messes up. And that's because of like an input polling bug that was in the game that we never knew about until he discovered it.
Good luck. Okay, let's go. So
this is
cool
a demo
you get a
that
grab
took place
and,
at a charity event called
just more
Smash the
stuff.
Record.
It's FD, like one grab, right?
Like that's that.
Just one
You are
grab.
now the bot.
The person he's playing against is actually a very good player.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't think
This
Fox
is
is
hard.
wave
This looks
shining
hard.
morph.
All right, that's okay.
Look, it took him 15 seconds. He had to work for the kill.
That's true.
In terms of fatigue, how does that work with a bot?
It doesn't get tired. It doesn't sleep.
So wait,
Well,
It just knows stock taking.
when Vro throws out a grab, can he react and spot dodge? Before
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Spot dodge just beats grab, plain and simple.
Like
you
on
just have to
pure
react to
reaction.
it. Yeah. You have 7 frames to react, or 6, I guess, because it comes out on frame 7, and so that's an eternity for
How
a
do you
computer.
grab a bot?
You can't just get a raw grab; it just won't work.
That's
it
insane.
just won't work. Clearly,
Yeah. That's
All right, okay, let's go. I believe.
Let's get a hit.
What
bro.
about a raw
Shine
forward
clank?
smash?
Yeah. What about Randy forwards? That's worked for people for years.
That's
Oh,
life.
we got
GG's.
JV5 on the
Oh, here, press start.
It's really
Is it the first
overwhelming
one?
to play this thing for
Yeah,
the first time.
that was the first JV5
so,
I've seen.
If you were given an hour, you'd do better. So this is highlights from my friend's stream. My friend is a top 10 player in the world, and on a professional team called Tempo Storm. These are just random highlights from his stream, but I think it's just like 2 clips.
Are you serious? Get me out of here, dude. Dude, I'm smash DIing for my life. Oh my god. Oh, that was so bad. Okay, I'll go to ledge eventually. Oh god. Okay, it's okay.
And then
Smashbot's
here's
come a
a
long way
video
since the
that
last
Dan
time
made
we fought,
of
so
Smashbot
I think it's
actually
about
playing
time again.
itself, and
Let's
you can
speed it
actually
up.
see the controller inputs it's choosing like on the screen.
Oh yeah, so that's
So,
the bad
because it's
All right, well,
hard-coded,
just like last time,
if
we're
you
gonna
don't
put
make
a
any
little
modifications,
code
it'll just
that
do
makes
that
Smashbot sort of
infinitely, so
screw
he
up
had to add like a random
Makes
block
for a more
to
interesting match.
make it not do
All right,
that.
This is a best of 3. I put Smashbot's controller inputs up here in the top corners.
I think that's the end of this video I made, but that's probably the end of my time, to be completely honest. But I mean, I also have like a 2-minute video of myself playing against it. I don't know if we have time for that though.
Man, we don't have anything else going on tonight, so if everybody else is okay with it, then I don't really care personally. So.
Well, I guess I'll just click it. People unmute and yell at me if if this is a problem. Oops. Oh god. Okay. I'm playing in like a really repetitive way against it, just because that's sort of how you play against a bot. You try to abuse like little
there's nothing I can do
sort
here.
of repetitive, predictable things in what it does. It's still very hard because it doesn't really give you many opportunities.
Nothing
someone's
else.
drawing
It
on my
won't be once I
screen.
Put my shield up.
Oh, why did you pick Fox?
Oh, my bad. I was on my phone and I was.
Hey, Jackie, we're getting a bit of feedback from your microphone.
Oh no.
Thanks.
Oh, he's dead.
Sorry, I'm on my phone right now. I was trying to like join on my laptop. So sorry for the interruption.
You're good.
Oh, I missed my dash tag. Oh, he definitely did not know how to do that before. Good stuff, Dan.
Dan made some changes to Smashbot since I started Hack Reactor.
I'm dead. Oh, he should have just up smashed me right off the down throw.
Hey, Andrew, would you mind taking some questions while we're watching this as well?
I didn't hear that just now. Say it again?
Oh, yeah, would you mind taking some questions while we're watching this video?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I'll start us off because I'm interested to know, we're seeing all of these clips where Smashbot plays as Fox, and I would assume that with different characters you'd have to implement like,
No, that's not what I wanted to do.
So does Smashbot currently only have Fox, or are other
Correct.
characters-
Yeah, it can only currently play Fox. The reason for that, the reason it does play Fox is for most of this game's history, and to some degree still, Fox is considered the best character in the game, and he's also like definitely like the fastest character in the game with like the most potential if you were to give it like frame perfect reactions and execution. So like a lot of the other good characters like have like simpler game plans or like sort of simpler tech that they can do. So you know, basically, if you did it with like other characters, it just wouldn't look as cool.
Is it true? Because I heard about Fox too. His shield goes up quicker than everybody because he's faster.
No, that's not true. Pretty much every shield comes out on frame 1.
Okay, because that's what I heard. That's why he was.
Yeah, at least in Melee, basically every shield comes out in frame 1. I don't know if it's different in any of the later games. I believe it's also frame 1, pretty much across the board, and I think that's one of the things that generally doesn't change between characters. They do have, I mean, different frame data for like, I don't know, spot dodges, rolls, and some of those other things, but yeah, I don't think that's true for shield.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, so I know you were talking about how it doesn't have anything built into where it can make predictions necessarily, but does it account for like projectiles?
Yeah, it does.
A direction that the projectile is heading. For example, like if you were playing against like a Samus. Or
Yeah. Yeah, Samus was
fire.
actually kind of a pain in the butt to code around, but there's actually like a projectiles object stored in the game state that like, you know, has whatever projectiles are active on the screen right now. And you have like the position, velocity, and acceleration for each projectile. So like it's like slightly untrue to say it doesn't look into the future, but it still pretty much doesn't. If in like there's like one of the files for like defend, I think it's defend, if I'm trying to go off the top of my head, but like, you know, it sort of like calculates based on the distance. It's like, is this projectile gonna hit us in like the next 1 or 2 frames? And if so, it'll try to power shield, which in Melee will reflect the projectile. But it's not perfect because, you know, the math can work. Like, you know, we're performing the math on the computer. It's not necessarily exactly as it is in the game state. So yeah.
Cool. I think we're going to have to cut it off there.
Yep.
Great presentation. Very interesting.
Thank you.
If anybody else has any other questions or just wants to get absolutely destroyed and smashed by Andrew, feel free to reach out to him. But I believe that takes us to the most important part of the night.